Hello everyone, this is Mr. Revox1256 and welcome back to my playthrough of Ratchet & Clank for the PlayStation 2. In this part we shall be tackling our next level called Metropolis on Planet Kerwan, also known in the beta version as Planet Caldera, but it got changed to Kerwan for some reason that shall never be known to us ever. But I think this is now the proper time to talk about a certain website called the Cutting Room Floor. They usually have interesting tidbits regarding betas, prototypes, demos, and the differences that are in those prototypes and demos. It was found out that this was originally called Planet Caldera due to them researching the beta version, which there exists a copy online, I presume. I know that the Ratchet Clank 3 beta is available online, however it is incomplete, so technically you cannot even beat it, because even though it has all the planets on the mission, on the level select, the actual levels are not on the disc, so yeah, you won't be able to travel to those planets. But yeah, what's also interesting is that Metropolis in the reboot was changed to Alero City, and Alero City is, to be honest, an inferior name, mostly because, well, we all got used to Metropolis, calling this place Metropolis. It was in the first game, in the third game, and in Tools of Destruction, and when everybody thinks of Planet Kerwan, they think of Metropolis, not Alero City. And the remake version, or reboot version of this stage is kinda terrible. It's mostly a linear stage where you are told what to do, and the obstacle course is terrible. Just don't, well, I'm not gonna tell you what to do and what not to do, but the remake is horrible. It's basically the shittiest Ratchet game I ever had the displeasure to play. My god, I remember buying that game for like 10 quid in CEX, and I remember the disappointment. Like, the game just condescends the player left and right. Oh, you beat our easy section. Some victory jingle. Ratchet & Clank have personalities of a cardboard. It literally makes the characters in Transformers and John seem more likable. So now we are learning the wall jump mechanic, which is not that often used in Ratchet & Clank games. It's only used, I think, twice in the entirety of Ratchet 3. And even then, it's weirdly implemented. It's weirdly, the platforms are weirdly spaced out and the jumps are like dodgy. It's hard to explain without actually playing it, or actually seeing the footage. But when we get to Ratchet 3, you'll see what I mean. But anyway, this is our training course complete, and we get to meet the biggest bitch in Ratchet & Clank, Helga the Trainer. In the demo, she had a completely different model, and that's it when it comes to differences between demos and betas. Well, she wants us to pay 1,000 bolts now, because apparently we disgraced her training course, which is kinda silly since no matter how well you perform, she will still want 1,000 bolts from you. But the gadget she wants to sell is the swing shot, which is important in the future levels. Also, originally Captain Qwark wanted to give us this for free, but you know, everybody in this galaxy are a bit cheap and they want cash. But what's interesting is that Captain Qwark knows about Ratchet & Clank. So we have to pay this bitch those 1,000 bolts, and now we can progress with the game. I don't think that sentence made sense, but oh well, I'm trying to sound cool for once. Fuck off. See you in Ratchet 3. So, congratulations, we have the swing shot. And technically, if you die in this area, you teleport straight to the beginning of the training course. So technically you can cheap out and teleport yourself to get to the main level quicker, but I need those extra bolts because, as I said, bolts are very important, especially in the first game, since you don't get as much of them as in the second and third game. Also, Metropolis track, iconic, it's literally legendary. Every time I think of Metropolis, I always think of this theme. The composer is a Frenchman, and he's an excellent Frenchman. The reason why I'm not saying his name or surname is because I do not want to butcher it. I do have the soundtrack for the first 4 games, and let me tell you right now, the French composer which composed the tracks for the first 4 games and Tools of Destruction was the best composer. Well, what I'm trying to say is that the soundtrack for the first 4 games and Tools of Destruction are the best soundtracks in the series. Ever since they changed the composer, their soundtrack has been fucking generic, and it disgusts me. It especially disgusts me that in the fucking remake, we didn't have a single fucking remix of anything. Which really kinda aggravates me. But then again, if we did have remixes, they would be butchered because they would be all orchestral and they would try to be cinematic. I have no idea what's Insomniac's obsession with cinematic plot lines in Ratchet & Clank, because if you play Ratchet & Clank, you don't play for the story. Maybe the PS3 games you play for the story, but not the original games. And I'm not trying to say that, oh, PS3 trilogy, the future trilogy sucks, but you can kinda tell that the story was, how should I put it, more prioritized than the gameplay. And I will tell you why when we get to those games. They're perfectly good games, but I have my issues with them. But regarding the post-A Crack in Time games, fuck them. Terrible, and they shouldn't even be made. But oh well. I didn't want to have this episode to be so negative, so let's be a bit more positive. We do not want to be DSP, we do not want to whine. But yeah, so our main objective on this planet is to meet up with Big Al, who runs Big Al's Robo Shack. Basically, Captain Qwark recently shot a commercial here, and maybe Al will know where Captain Qwark is. Unfortunately, we will find out that he doesn't know where Captain is, but he will sell us the helipack, which will improve our mobility.
We saw your Infobot announcement. You were with Captain Qwark. We are trying to find Captain Qwark. We thought you could help us.
Your logic is commendable. However, I haven't seen Captain Qwark since we shot that commercial.
By the way, Al's model in the PS3 version is totally disgusting. It was poorly converted to HD, and I don't think they used a finished model. He looks like he looks unfinished in the HD version, and really that's kinda shocking. I think they fixed it in the PS Vita version, but I haven't played PS Vita version that much. Mostly because I wasn't a fan of the strafing controls for 2 and 3, because I don't like the back touchpad on the Vita. But anyway, here's our helipack, and I wanted to correct my mistake. I said that the helipack cost 1,500, but it's actually 1,000, which in the end is not that bad because now we have more bolts. And here is our first purchased weapon, Pyro Sitter. This weapon is excellent for crowd control, and because enemies are weak, then it's very good in the first half of the game, especially against little enemies. Its upgraded version, the Gold Pyro Sitter, or the Gold Flamethrower, is overpowered. It kills everything with one touch, and I think I might be getting it. What's also interesting is that the Golden Pyro Sitter is broken in the PAL version of the HD collection, because they fucked up the framerate conversion from PAL 50 to 60 Hz, so you can destroy the final boss with the Golden Pyro Sitter faster than with the Rhino. And that's why the HD version, the PAL HD version, is used for speedrunning. Also talking about speedrunning, here is the first example of neutral long jumps. And you might be wondering, Mr. Revox, what the hell are neutral long jumps? Well, my friend, if you do a long jump and you press R1 and X as soon as you land, but without moving the analog stick forward, basically the analog stick needs to be in a neutral position, then you will propel, but the momentum will be faster. So literally you can quickly gain momentum every time you do that neutral long jump, and you can literally jump through gaps you shouldn't be able to jump through. Thankfully, I am not as experienced in using neutral long jumps, so I'm only using them to just move faster. Because we are not yet at the time where we get Thruster Pack, which is my favorite pack, by the way, in the entire series, which for some reason was not in a Kraken time, but oh well, that's just a nitpick of mine. But yeah, now we can glide and have long jumps, which will help us during certain dodgy platforming sections. And every time you see me just randomly doing a long jump, that basically means I failed a neutral long jump and I just did a normal long jump. The timing has to be very precise, but I've gotten used to it now. So yeah, I won't be collecting all the gold bolts in the game. I will be only collecting enough so I can buy the gold version of the Pyro Sitter. And I will be collecting the ones that are literally in plain sight. Or the ones that I always get because it's just muscle memory for me. Plus, in certain areas where we get gold bolts, there are plenty of crates with bolts, so not only we get a gold bolt, but we get extra cash. Which is a win-win situation in my opinion. I hope my English won't terrify you. But I'm trying my best. But I realize the more I exaggerate my voice, the better my English is. But I don't want to sound like a... fuck, I lost the train of thought. I don't want to sound pretentious. This is an interesting moment. When you jump on the train, your controls are locked. You cannot move. However, when you jump on the second part of the train and you get shot, then the lock gets removed and you can literally play during the cutscene. And that's also what speedrunners use to beat this mission quickly. But yeah, so you might be wondering, well, we met up with Owl and we got the helipack, so why are we still in Metropolis? Well, as you can see at the very end of this platforming challenge, I really wouldn't call it a challenge, but oh well, at the end of this train there's an info bot which will lead us to our next planet. And info bots are very important. Gradually, info bots will lose their purpose, mostly because now it's like story. Basically, in the first games, info bots were means of just giving you a cool cutscene and unlocking your level. And I always like that. Die! Worthless scum. I played too much Devil May Cry 3. But oh well, here's our next cutscene. And also pay attention to the voice of the robot lieutenant, because in the only two cutscenes he speaks in a different voice every time.
Counting on you, Lieutenant. And as your former commander can tell you, I don't take disappointment well.
Yes, sir. I won't fail.
Drek is destroying yet another planet.
You can tell Ratchet doesn't care yet about the whole situation with Drek destroying planets. He's much more interested in getting gadgets and fighting guys. And here he is hyping up the fight with the robot lieutenant, which will never happen because his boss fight got deleted from the game, mostly because they couldn't finish it on time. What do we get in the end? A silly little cutscene. Or, how would I say in normal English, a silly little cutscene. But oh well, ladies and gentlemen, this is it for part 2. I hope you enjoy this playthrough, as terrible as it may be. And yeah, this is Mr. Revox 1256 signing out. Goodbye.